Recording in progress. I got a note from Jonathan. He's in India and he picked up some flu virus or something, so he is like off today.
All right.
David is also off. He's writing his book.
I need your email address, or you need mine, because I want to be able to see some of the past.
Write my email. It's Lev Lev.
That's some paper. Okay, got a pad.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Is the L capitalized? Okay. Okay, got it.
So Bob asked what we're going to talk today, and every so often we've been waiting for David to get us clearance that his rabbi, Karaite rabbi, will come. But I guess he has a formal presentation on a PowerPoint. But I think he'll do it next week. This week he didn't have a chance to do it. He's got 45 minutes presentation about Karaism, the rabbi. But I said, listen, we only have 14 minutes. So you have to. So he is working on it to shrink it down to 14 minutes special. So what I'm thinking is it's kind of open. Whatever we want to talk today, not formal. My question is this: how are we supposed to ask forgiveness? Like we're supposed to always, when we go to bed in our prayers, we ask for everybody I hurt today. Sorry. Yom Kippur, sorry. If I did something bad, I have to come. Let's say did something for Bob. I stole his pencil. Sorry, Bob, I stole your pencil. Okay, I'm forgiven. Then I go to Yom Kippur, then God forgives me. But what if the person continuously offends you? Let's say you have a neighbor who continuously just throws garbage in your yard. And you say, okay, no problem. I forgive you. And he keeps throwing garbage. In other words, does forgiveness presume that you're not supposed to hold a grudge? So if let's say Bob and I have a conflict, Bob comes and says, Lev, I'm sorry that I did it. Then I can say, okay, I can't hold the grudge. You're forgiven, everything okay. But what if Bob keeps dropping garbage in my backyard all the time? Am I supposed to say, no problem, I don't hold anything against you, keep throwing garbage? Is a forgiveness conditional or unconditional? What does Torah say about it? Do you know?
I'm learning Pesachim now, and everything that's done in terms of the korban, offerings. Everything done in terms of the offerings depends on intent. And you could be doing the exact same action, but if you do the action with the wrong intent, it's nullified. It's the tool. So for instance, the definition of pigul means that the Kohen has given the offer while thinking the wrong thing. Just thinking the wrong thing, and the offering is no good. And the offering, of course, if it's a chatas, it's forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
But the answer, I think, based on that approach and intent is, it runs through everything in Torah, that if you ask forgiveness and your intent is wrong, it's not sincere. It's not a sincere request for forgiveness.
I know, but my question, I'm taking.
You're not forgiven. You're not forgiven is the answer to your question.
I agree. No, I'm taking your class. I'm taking the same class. I know, but I'm thinking my question is, let's say.
Listening? Are you listening to him?
Yeah, I do.
I didn't know you listened to our class.
Yeah, I do listen to the recording. I've been doing it for years.
Oh, but you're so quiet. We don't hear from you anymore. We miss you.
Oh, I know. I don't want to slow you down. That's why I decided not to interfere. But I listened to recordings later.
I wish you would join us again.
I don't know if Rabbi wants me to take his time.
All right.
But I think like this. But let's say my scenario is this. I see what you're talking about, intent, but I'm thinking, let's say I'm your neighbor and dumping garbage here, no knowing. I hate your guts. And every night they come in and put a bucket of garbage in your yard. Now, if I did it for a couple of weeks and then he came to me and says, listen, let's stop it. And I came to my senses and said, listen, I know what came upon me. I'm really sorry. And you can say, fine, I forgive you. But what if I'm not a nasty guy and I keep throwing garbage in the yard every day? Are you supposed to ask me forgiveness? Never mind was the intent or not intent. Are you supposed to give forgiveness? Or listen, I will forgive you, but you have to stop throwing garbage first.
I don't think you're obligated to forgive unless it's sincere. And as far as
you're obligated to forgive, you're gonna forgive me if I continuously throwing garbage in the yard?
No, I don't think I'm obligated to.
Ah,
a
you're
Jew.
not, you said, okay.
No.
Call the police.
I also get a sense, you get a sense, because obviously we're not there. We're not back 2,000 years ago, but everything you read or learn about jurisprudence going back to the temple period, I think it was a lot like today, which of course today probably borrows from everything the Jews taught the modern world. But I think the courts are like today. If you keep doing it, the court's going to bonk you over the head, like lashes or jail.
Yeah, it'd be like Howard says, you go to court and says, listen, he's throwing garbage money around. Court take action. So that's what I
Don't
mean,
do that now.
Well, yeah, like Howard says, the courts aren't doing their job.
They just turned you loose with no bond.
I mean, this often happens in the families, like in the families, not even the neighbors. In the families, people have faribel, people have arguments, and they go and among brothers and sisters and parents and goes for a long time, and nobody remembers anymore who started it, and they just don't invite Uncle Herbie because he's a nasty guy. I'm not coming to dinner if he's coming. That's it. Don't invite my brother because I don't come. So okay, that is going on here. But if somebody is say, listen, I'm sorry, you're supposed to forgive, even within the family. But how many times do you feel that the family is like not treating you right? You can still forgive them. I mean, they can spit in your face. You can still sit there. Okay, no, okay. You're my brother. I love you. Bang! He bangs you over the head. Okay, forgive him. No, he bangs you over the head again. So in your family, your own brother or sister, as a son or mother, not treating you right, and you say, well, no, mother is not a good example. Parents is a special situation. But let's say your brother is not him. You're supposed to, oh, my brother, sorry. Like, he keeps doing it. I used then say, listen. When you say sorry, I will forgive you. But until then, don't bother calling.
I don't see any reason to treat a brother any different than anyone else. Do you, as a Jew? Yeah.
No, but why? I asked one rabbi a question. He said, well, we're supposed to ask forgiveness every night in our prayers. Before you go into bed, the last thing you do is, so I forgive everybody who hurt me today, like this. Well, if inadvertently, let's say I went to the store today and just met, and somebody just stepped, someone say, hey, what you going more wrong? What are you doing? And say, guys, okay, well, he didn't know, he was agitated, maybe he had a bad day. I go to bed and say, this guy who sort of like was not nice to me, okay, I forgive him. He didn't know what he was doing. But I meet this guy every day, and the guy continuously doing that. That's not the same story. So when we forgive a person when we're going to bed, I think we'll forgive him for like incidental things, something that happens, but not a continuous abuse. You can't forgive and abuse. But I know people that misunderstand the concept and would think, well, it's almost like Christianity. If you hit you one chick, put another chick. In other words, it will become masochism. I mean, like, no matter what they do to me, it's okay, fine. No, at some point, you have to say, it's not okay. I'm not forgiving you. I'm sorry.
Under those circumstances, what is an appropriate response?
That's my question.
It's really kind of interesting that in the way we think as a people, that we're supposed to take it upon ourselves to act properly and to ask for forgiveness. Even going back to giving an offering, that's a financial burden. You have to give up of your prize sheep or your prize goat and ask forgiveness. We're supposed to sort of self-police ourselves as Jews. I think that's inherent in our culture. Maybe I think more so than in other cultures.
But what if we don't? What if the guy doesn't do it? How you act?
You're asking if there's a renegade, and I think the renegade would be taken care of by the courts.
Okay. I come across this situation oftentimes. You guys probably don't have any problem. Most people don't have a problem. I'm probably one of the few that do. But every so often in the family have a problem, and sometimes people tell me, "Come on, knock it off. Just don't pay attention. It's okay." And I say, "Listen, this guy, my relative, my close relative, and he just keeps doing it day to day. And I want to forgive him, but I can't forgive him. He just keeps on dumping stuff on my head every day."
Does this relative ask for forgiveness? Do they think they're
wrong? No. If they ask for forgiveness, I would forgive them immediately. That's my responsibility and obligation as a Jew. But he doesn't have forgiveness.
Yeah, if it's an impossible relationship, you don't have to be in a relationship. You don't have to dishonor him, but there's no obligation to be in a relationship with him.
How do we know from now? That's what I feel intuitively too. just from common sense. But what does Torah say about does Torah? It says that what does Torah rule in that case? What King David do? What did Shmuel? What did our great do? What does Torah say specifically for that case? Are you unconditional forgive me, or sometimes sorry, I will forgive you, but you gotta clean up your act first.
No, I think Torah is clear. Look at Jacob and Yaakov and Esau. He told him goodbye. He says, "Goodbye, brother. I've had enough of you. I'm going my way, and you go your way."
Okay.
Yeah, I would think that would be the natural response, would be avoidance.
But it's hard to do in a family. You love your, let's say, it's rival with you and your brother. You love your brother, and yet I see a lot of brothers that are not very nice to each other, and it bothers you. I don't want this guy. I mean, I don't hate my brother. Why did you do that? How many times? How many times people have a common business? Brothers can have a business. Sisters can have a common business. As soon as you go common business to your family member, something happens. Next thing you know, oh, you did this, you did this. Now it closes the relatives. It becomes a war. People don't talk to each other for 10 years, brothers. And you would think, well, if they don't talk to each other, why don't they know the Torah is supposed to? And one, of course, in that case, one thinks, I did nothing wrong. It's his fault. Another guy is saying the same thing. It's not my fault, his fault. He will come and say, sorry, I'll forgive you. Another guy says, and they don't come to each other and say sorry. And rabbis don't push them to say sorry. Rabbis say, well, when they get to, we're too busy learning Talmud 24 hours a day. I say it all the time. Rabbis sitting and rolling Talmud nonstop. In the meantime, people's lives are crumbling.
Well, you know what? I think it's kind of interesting. It's always struck me so interesting how Isaac and Ishmael, Isaac and Ishmael, that they didn't talk. They were different. They had nothing to do with each other. One was, a guy that, like you said, studied all day in the Talmud, and the other one was a guy who liked to go outside and play tennis. So, or shoot things. So they had nothing in common. They never spoke to each other. One ended up not even being a Jew. And yet what's kind of interesting is they're portrayed as they never spoke. That's the way it is. And yet they got together as a group to bury their father, which I find really interesting. And I always found that story interesting because it showed that they recognized the differences. They recognized that they could never be together, but they also recognized they were family and that they did get together in a brotherly way to bury their father. So maybe I know there's supposed to be lessons in this.
I tell you, I'll go further because I tell you, from what I've been told for many years by the greatest of ours, the rabbinical things like this, I come in my old age to think that a lot of it, was, I mean, I don't want to use a very strong word, Liz, but a lot of it's like, twinkle, twinkle, little star. Like, for example, I have no reason to think, I don't know why doesn't Torah say that Ishmael is a wild ass of a man. Yeah, but doesn't mean we can't get along with him. I'm not against Ishmaelites, Arabs. We can get together.
They didn't get along. They never spoke to each other, and they formed two different groups that were at each other's necks forever. But to
your point, Ishmael and Isaac reconciled in the end. The last thing they did when the father died, they got together.
No, they did not reconcile. They came together to bury their father, but it doesn't ever say that they reconciled. They simply recognized we're family, there is a connection, but we'll go each other's ways.
I don't know. That's a good point because where's the Torah?
Maybe your Chumash is different than mine.
No, in my Chumash, what is it? Achille probably has it. It says that the common Art Scroll Chumash, it says the brothers reconciled at the father's grave.
Maybe they did, but Yaakov and Esau, they never reconciled, did they?
But Esau is not descendant of Ishmael, a different story.
No, but I'm saying here's another example of brothers, twin brothers, who said goodbye to each other forever, literally forever. He said, you go your way, I'll go mine, goodbye.
It's horrible, isn't it? It bothers me. All these conflicts, so many conflicts. People can get along.
Well, I mean, it's all written, whatever's written in Torah is written for the point of teaching. And I think it teaches that people don't always get along. And that's the natural order of things. Yeah. Maybe when Mashiach comes, it'll be different. But in your family, whoever it is, maybe you have to understand that, you're not going to kill each other, but you may never be friends.
I know, but it's unfortunate. It's just not nice.
Well, you certainly see that now on over political issues here in the United States.
Yeah,
Right.
this brother is a Republican, this one Democrat, don't come to dinner,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
ridiculous.
they won't talk to one another. They can't have a civil conversation.
And things are getting worse because, like, actually, it's funny you said the word civil. In the Civil War, it was brother against brother. They loved each other and they killed each other. But now it's gotten to the point where there's absolute split in the United States. No one talks to each other. In fact,
Yeah.
we had this week an important meeting in Congress, and the Democrats didn't even show up for the discussion. They don't even talk to each other anymore.
Very horrible. Guys, do you think it's dangerous things going on? I hear this news, the banks, California banks collapse. Is it
Yes.
time to pull the money from America to Israel? Are they going to just one day?
No, it's not that bad. These banks that failed were plain risky business, but the major banks like Chase Manhattan or Bank of America, they're not going anywhere. They're fine.
I hope so. I hope so. You know, bothers me because a lot of us expatriates here in Israel, we we have some savings like Social Security, whatever, in American banks, and just I hate to come to the Wells Fargo or Bank of America one day and see big lock and a note. Sorry, you
Now,
know.
if you, I mean, I don't know the future, but they say Bank of America is very secure. That's what they say. I
I
think
hope
it is.
so.
Yeah. I understand that Israeli banks are much better run and that they're a lot more secure than American banks.
Israeli banks are much run because we have so much bureaucracy. You know, a good friend of mine, he is from a Russian army. He was like major in Russian army, and he said, "Lev, I learned a lesson from the army many years ago. Don't jump too quick to execute the command that's given to you because you never know. He's in 10 minutes. They will not come to cancel." So in Israeli bank, by the time they decide to do something, it can take weeks or months, and then it'll be, oh, after Purim, we'll look into this, after Pesach, after this. By the time they got to do it, the crisis is all over. So our bureaucracy protects us. It's like a cushion. We don't do anything fast. You know, they'll talk about it, but nothing gets done. And then it's nice. That's exactly what we want. Just nothing. I don't need any help from just military. It's all we need: military help, defense. Everything else we handle ourselves. So in a way, Israeli bureaucracy is great cushion.
That's funny. When my son lived in Israel for 2 years, that was the one thing he complained about. Nothing ever happens in Israel. Nothing gets done.
Oh, we complain all the time, as you all know, Bob. You know, we complain all the time. Every day. I think like the guys in Ariel there in Atlanta, 99.9% will not survive in Beersheba for 1 week. For 1 week. No, it's impossible. And the things is like completely. I mean, you see, you go you go to the store and you wait for like 6 people pass it, and then the girl is drinking coffee and she's talking to her sister that, you know, what's for dinner tonight and coming, and you said like, come on, let's get going. So wait a minute, just wait. The rega, you know.
Yeah.
It's Americans not used to it. I mean, America, this girl will be fired immediately out. Or you want to buy something, you're standing in line and there's like nobody's there, like 2 guys. And you say, I want to have like, you know, half a pound of cheese. And that's the time when the guy now stocking the shelf and staying pulling. He said, just give me cheese. No, I need to put this away. And you wait for 10 minutes and he finishes this. And it's like, life is great if not for all these customers I have. That's an attitude. So it's a lot of bureaucracy, but in certain ways, it's annoying if you don't understand it. But if you understand it, it's like comedy. It's funny. But then it's also, from business standpoint, saves us from making 2 rash decisions. Well, let's think about it. Maybe we'll do it, maybe not. Let's get together after the holidays. It's only 2 weeks to Pesach. Why to rush now? After Pesach. After Pesach, well, Rosh Hashanah is coming. And after that, it's in the winter. It goes on months after months and months. And everybody's happy, going to the beach, going to the party, you know. That's Israel.
Yeah, it's funny. Last week I tried to order some vitamins online and they were giving me a hard time. I gave them hell because I expected instant service and instant satisfaction. That's what we want. We want service here in America.
But in America now, service got worse, as I understand it. Not as good as like 20 years ago. Even then.
Oh, it's worse here, but it'll never be as bad as Israel.
No, I don't think so.
You know, it's funny. Lydia and I are trying to plan a cruise. At least we have cruise ships in America. In Israel, the service is so bad they don't even have a cruise industry.
We have now, of course, we know so that What did you hear? I mean, I didn't hear the news. Is all these protests already subsided? Still protesting?
Where, in Israel?
Yeah.
I heard that they're still protesting, but you have the local news, right?
I don't. We don't. Nobody watches very much. I think so. I mean, usually our son in Atlanta, he tells us what's going on in Tel Aviv.
I mean, from what I see and I read,
I think they're running out of steam because in America, the news you'll use like 1-2 weeks, no matter what, 1-2 weeks. If some spaceship will come and blow out the moon out of the orbit, they'll talk about it for 1 week and then it will be something else. In Israel, it takes maybe a month. And then eventually people move to something else.
From what I understand, the new rules are going to be that Knesset will have a little bit more say in picking the judges, which is okay and should be that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of judicial review will be enshrined as a law. And that's actually a nod to the left. And I think it's a good bill. And I think the protesters are mostly a bunch of idiots who don't think about anything. And, you know.
So you're saying that they reached some kind of compromise, sort of? That's what
they did. And I believe that they're going to pass a bill on this.
Oh, okay, great. It's interesting.
I think half of Israel's brainwashed. We have a friend whose daughter just came back from Israel, and she told everyone how much she loves Palestinians. You know, I just think,
What?
Yeah, I'm just telling you, a lot of Jews are brainwashed, and when you live in the right area, you probably have a lot of radicals living in Beersheba, right? A lot of
we actually we're like in 1800s. You know, this is like an old country. It's like in Montgomery, something like, oh, you know, in the south, deep south, Beersheba. It's so Sephardi. It's very Sephardi. We don't have like politics like in Tel Aviv. It's we talk about where to get falafel and shawarma, you know, and this people talk about food. That's what people talk about here.
Are the Sephardim, are they religious? Do they daven, or what do they do?
Most Sephardi are a lot more religious, and I mean they have much more, like, first of all, they pronounce when they go to prayers, as you know, they pronounce every word. Ashkenazi, you know, Baruch Hara, Amen. Baruch.
Well, I noticed the lead. I noticed that the Baal Tzibor in a Sephardic shul tends to, like you said, enunciate better and not run over.
They enunciate better, but I give it to the fact because I think most like 99% of American Gabayim who lead the services don't know how to read. I mean, it's not because it's a custom. They just, if they want to read, they couldn't. And if they did, it would take them like 5 hours to go to Shachrit.
Would the Sephardim welcome you into their shuls there?
Yeah, we go to Sephardi shul, Renat Yerushalayim, right? West. I mean, in Israel, as you know, I mean, like 20 shuls in a block. I mean, people don't even know the time. What happens in many instances, the person gets up in the morning, and if I get up in the morning, let's say at 7:10, and tomorrow I'm a little bit tired, I get up at 7:40. I get out and this shul, they begin shachar at 7:45, and this is 7:20. So you're walking down the street and the door is open, you go there.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to a strip mall with 20 stores. You know, you don't get this one. Oh, this one they don't have cheese.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful, though.
But we go to Sephardi all the time, and I feel comfortable with the Sephardi prayer book, or sometimes today. And well, what I always ask rabbis in Atlanta, which didn't happen because ego, politics. We have a Sephardi synagogue, the little like strong. You know, we don't have this reform, or it's all Orthodox, obviously. It's Jewish. We don't have this nuances of America. And in the same building, there's a Chabad.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
We went in the same building.
Actually, when my son was in Jerusalem, we would daven in this shul, and it's really funny. In one corner, Chabad would start at 9:30, and in the other corner, you know, the Litvish would start at 9 because Chabad's always a half hour behind everyone.
It's exactly like we do in 7:20. We do like Saturday begins early, Sephardi begin early, 7:20. And Chabad begins like 9:30 because they like to sleep. So by let's say by 11, Sephardi is finished and they're gone. By that time, Chabad is ready for the Torah. Right. So they move. And the rooms, there's a one big hall and a smaller hall, just like you have a sanctuary and a library, those two halls. So when they leave, the Chabad moves over. They get up and they move over and they take the Torah from the big ark because there's a little bit more space to room. And in the middle of the service, they can come in and talk, and after that, they might have a common study group. 5 guys can be sitting and they learning Tanya, and it could be 2 Sephardi guys and 1 Ashkenazi guys, and then they learn Talmud section like Pesachim, and will be mixed. They don't have anything. They have 2 different minchagim, but they don't have these discussions for weeks. If it is a Sephardi, let's say you have Israeli Sephardi and Ariel, and
Well,
God forbid,
they don't study Talmud.
they study Talmud. Yeah, they study Talmud a lot more than there than in America. But what I'm saying is, like, say, I remember in Ariel, Sephardi guy, this is Ashkenazi shul basically. So Israeli guy comes over. Israeli is mostly Sephardi. It just so happens they're Sephardi guys. They're usually not Polish. They're Moroccans or something like that. So the guy cannot, and they perfectly read Hebrew. They're Israelis, but the rabbis in America would not allow this guy to go lead the service. But Hatzah Khalil is different minhag, and he pronounces a word, maybe this. Next thing you fly to hell in the breadbasket. Israelis don't have any of that. None of that. Anybody, you go here. From which book you want this book, because first of all, they're fluent in Hebrew. And even in Michagim, between the Sephardi prayers and the Ashkenazi, not that substantially different for them not to know. In America, they wouldn't know.
The Sephardic shul has a lot of additions like Psalms and all sorts of things that we don't do.
Well, but what they do when they, for example, when they do a Kaddish, Sephardi Kaddish is a little bit longer. So everybody says Kaddish. Let's say 5 guys saying Kaddish for the deceased one, and it happens to be 3 Sephardis and 2 Ashkenazi. A little bit addition. So when they come to a certain point, Ashkenazi stop for a couple of seconds, and Sephardi guys and then they continue together. So they know, because their Hebrew is fluent. They don't have to. In America, nobody knows how to read. Even some rabbis don't know how to read. So
yeah, I mean, Chabad also has a longer Kaddish. They have
because Chabad goes more by Sephardi.
By Sephardi, right.
By Sephardi. But they don't have to. Even the prayer itself is not that different. It's a little different. So if the guy simply just comes to the pulpit, to the bima to read, and he just begins to read, he reaches out and he grabs the prayer book, and whatever prayer book comes to his hand, he reads that. If it's Ashkenazi, he reads Ashkenazi. Sephardi, it's Sephardi. They don't have these discussions. Oh, but this is Ashkenazi, and Shulchan Aruch says this, and Mishnah Berurah says that. It will be discussion. It's like, exercise in futility. Nothing.
No,
like
but
that.
I mean, in truth, it is difficult to mesh the 2 services together. There are differences.
Well, that's why.
And also, Lev, there's differences in the custom of how you're called to the Torah, and there's some slight variations.
But they know. The thing is, Israelis know, like Sephardi Torah is all around like this, right? It's like a casket like that. It's not like it's not like a fabric. You pull the fabric and roll it. It's a little box, and the box is heavy. If you never lifted this box, when you first come to the box, it's not like you're taking those two sticks and lift it out, and do you turn it all the way around or this way and that way? This is a big box. And the guy posted, like, first time I came, I lifted this box and I didn't know how to open it. And there's a hook. The guy said, here's a hook. Just pull the hook. The whole thing opens like that. Are you supposed to hold it here? I mean, it's different things, but nobody pays attention to that. People will show you, I don't know. People help you. They don't make a big deal out of it. It's very, very, and it's a perception in America that Israel is very controversial. Always argue. They argue about small things, like why didn't you do falafel enough sauerkraut? Well, when it comes to things of principle, they're very forgiving and easygoing. None makes a big deal out of it.
I think it's a nice society and
very homogeneous in that sense. I mean, it's not homogeneous, but very respectful and very getting along. That's what I'm learning. The big things, we get along with each other.
I think it's really beautiful in Israel that they agree that the frum way, the Orthodox way of doing davening is the way it should be done. And if you're not interested in it, you go to the beach on Shabbos in Tel Aviv and you play pickleball. And I think that's a good idea. In other words, there's one Judaism. They understand there's only one way to do it. And if it's not for you, okay. So, go to the beach and go water skiing, but I think that's a healthy way to run a society. And occasionally they fall into a shul if they can find one in Tel Aviv and they just, they listen.
I
But
think
the
so.
way it's broken apart into different branches of Judaism in America is very destructive. And I think it has destroyed Judaism to a part.
It's ego. It's ego and ignorance. Yeah, I remember when I was in America, I was thinking sometimes, it's a muksar on Saturday. If the mailbox is 7 2/10 of a meter from the road, you cannot take your newspaper out on Saturday. But if it's only 5 meters, you can take it in odd way by putting your hand behind your ear and with the elbow moving like this. And people were sitting on Shabbat on a Saturday morning and discuss it for hours. What is it, muksa? But how does it fold it? Is it to the left or the right? Israelis don't have any of this baloney.
Leib, why do you think the entire world thinks that Jews are crazy and they're scared of us? It's because we talk about these kind of things.
But I'm finding that actually Ashkenazis, every rule has exceptions, a lot more paranoid, a lot more obsessive, what do you call it, than Sephardis. And I came to, after years here now, I came that the Judaism is not supposed to be, what do you call it, when you never know. Should go to the right, but not too much to the right. Should it go to the left, but not very much to the left. It's a little to the center, but not too to the center. That's a Ashkenazi thing.
Okay, Jackie Mason.
Yeah, Jack Mason. Sephardis don't have it, and Israelis don't have it. And it's not supposed to be. When American Jews saying that we Jews are always like paranoid about things, it's only because we don't know the language, we don't know the structure. We made it this way. The reality is not. It's very simple. It's very non-intimidating. It's very comfortable. You go to shul to pray. You don't worry about it. Today is Thursday. After 4 o'clock, don't forget to say this. And if you don't, you have to come back. After this sentence, you go 3 prayers. After that sentence, if you miss this, and if you do this, none of that. People,
nobody really, I shouldn't say that, but nobody except for the most rigorous Orthodox live that way. And when I daven, you know what? I pick out those parts of the Siddurim that I want to. I do it every day that way. And you know what? That's the way I'm going to do it.
Wonderful. More power to you. And I can tell you that's the way to do it. The God and Torah didn't mean us to become so paranoid to think and say, wait a minute, does it have a OU? And the OU, it's a green OU, but if it's a red OU and it's on the left and it's stamped, and which rabbi checked? We don't have, people know kind of innately here how to do it. They don't have to go somebody explain continuously. I think it just comes because of language. People know the language and it's much easier to understand when you know. In America, if you don't know language, open the prayer book and you don't know what you're reading.
Well, I think that's been part of the mission of Chabad, is to bring joy. Well, at the Hasidus, is to bring joy back into Judaism.
I think that's but we talk a big choir, big chorus. We all add, all these we can give add. But in the end of the day, I think it must be non-paranoidal. Really, it's not supposed to be paranoid. America made it paranoidal. Really. America turned Ashkenazim Jews into paranoidal people. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be easy and nonchalant and no pressure, thoughtful. Respectful, but not like sitting and trembling. Did I say? What was the moon came in last week? Did I say? Oh, I missed it. Oh gosh, I have to go to. None of that. Mercy.
See, that's why you should go into a Chabad. The only issue is how many people are going to be talking during Shemona Esrei, and how many people are not paying attention.
Actually, the Sephardi shul I go to, it depends. Some like other shuls, but this Gabbai is very strict. The kids will come and make it. Check it out. Bachutz.
Really?
This is a show to pray, not to play around. This guy is tough.
Well, I wouldn't want to know him because I love children, so I don't think I would agree with him. And Chabad, when the kids run around on the bima, I'm very happy. I think that's where they belong.
I agree with you. I agree. Listen, guys, for a minute. What do you want to talk next time?
Where's everyone else? Is it David's in Africa? Who's in Africa?
Jonathan Kent from Nigeria. He went to Africa.
He's sick?
No, he was presenting the paper and he went to the market. You saw that on the WhatsApp. He sent us the market and the Indian market. He probably picked up some flu or something, so he's out of commission. David is writing the book.
What country is he in?
In India.
Oh, in India. I thought you said Africa. Oh.
India, and the town. I was in India. but I don't. What was the town? I just saw his note. He just sent. You on the WhatsApp group, right, Bob?
No, I'm not.
You're not. You
No,
don't have a WhatsApp application?
I don't know. I'd have to check.
I'll check. No, he says, sorry, gang. Bengaluru also has respiratory viruses, and I caught one. See you next week. That's what
Why are they in India?
he's presenting the paper on myofascial release. You know, he's a physician.
Oh.
So some seminar, some medical seminars. But next, so what? Any particular topic, guys, for next? Today was just an open forum. We just chatted to say hi. What's for next week, next Tuesday?
Well, do you think, like, where's David and Nancy, for instance?
Karen also could.
Karen, I mean, yeah.
You know, I said David is he's writing the movie scenario, so he's busy today doing some editing, so he couldn't come today. Next week he'll be here.
Oh, is he a screenwriter?
Yeah, he's
wow.
he's making movies. Very interesting.
Oh, that is very interesting.
How can I see some of the old classes?
Some of the oldest, the links. Did you see any of the posted? You didn't because you don't have my email. But you can go to my. How would you do it? On like a channel? I have no idea. How do you see mine, Bob?
Well, it's not you emailed to me. I'm on your email list.
But it's only one click. But if you,
it's a link. You send it as a link.
But that's what Howard's saying. What he wants to see, like months earlier.
I don't know. I don't know how to get the old ones. I just look.
There's a way to follow, like my channel or something. Go channel all the. I'll send you the file with a list.
Do you have Howard's email address?
I will. He has mine right now. He'll send it to me, and I'll add him to the list.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway, so think of it, guys. Whatever you want to talk to, if David still doesn't come up with a Karaite topic, anything you're thinking of talking next week, we can do that. We do our 14 minutes kickoff and then continue with a Q&A.
I think something that's interesting, Lev, about what we're learning is the reason that we continue to learn these ancient ways. Does it really better us? Does it make us better Jews? Is there? I know we talk about the third temple, but you know, right. The Christians rejected the sacrifices, and yet we embrace them. What do we?
I tell you, one of my favorite mistakes is Zavachim. I learned the whole Zavachim, and I love it. My favorite. Guys, 5 seconds. Till next Tuesday. Love you. Stay in touch. 8 o'clock on Tuesday.